All right, Tucson Raider Nation, this is the update for the playoffs that we have coming up. What has to happen this week against the Broncos, and which teams are going to be in and out. I know a lot of parents and people that watch are asking about that, so I have a little bit of an update for that. So going into this week, today is Monday, September 29th. Now, I will not be there all week. I'm in Phoenix for work, but I will be there Saturday to broadcast the game, so tell everybody that if they don't live in town, that they can still watch the games, as I will be there broadcasting and commentating and everything. So, but I just won't be there for practice. Let's start off with 8U. So 8U, they are in a must-win situation. So if they win this Saturday, they are in. My thought and feeling on them is we will 100% win. If you haven't kept up with the 8U team, you should. They progress every week. They get better every week. And again, I know it's probably annoying for those of you that do listen about the 8U stuff, but I'll never stop talking about it because the comeback that they made against the 49ers is, I think, what kind of turned that season around. They were down 18-0 in the first quarter and then scored 25 unanswered points against a good 49er organization at an away game as well. So that was kind of, on my opinion, the turning point. And then last week we started, it's always been the Anderson twins, or Jaden C has really, been the guys, Ethan Garcia, that have really carried that offense. But this last week against the Soldiers, and then again a couple days ago against the Bobcats, Big O, number 34, he's been a part of that offense too. He had 2 touchdowns and almost 100 yards rushing against the Soldiers a couple weeks ago. And that's just like the last piece of the puzzle that this team, needed, and they're on a little bit of a streak right now. So my feeling as far as how they will do in this, last final week of the regular season, I feel very confident, and I think they're going to do well. It's a fun team to watch. If your kid's team doesn't play until later on in the afternoon or whatever, and you guys are at home chilling, turn it on. They're a fun team to watch. Jaden C in particular, and some of those offensive players are, it's going to be exciting to see this 8U team when they're like 12, 13, 14. I mean, they're already showing, intelligence on the football field as well as athletic ability at such a young age, running not the easiest plays on offense, making cutbacks when they're, running downfield and getting into the secondary. They show good awareness when they run the ball, so they're a fun team to watch. So watch them. If they win this week, they're in. They will be in the playoffs. 9U, Coach Pina's team, they are already in as of right now. Now, when we win this Saturday, we will be the number 5 seed playing the number 4 seed Rams in the first round of the playoffs the following week. So again, another big week for 9U and Coach Pina as they want to get up as high as they can in the playoffs. It'll make their track, they'll play lower seeded teams as they go on. That guy doesn't care who he plays. He's confident that he's going to win regardless. But again, another fun team to watch. The Honey Badger, we call him, Little Ray Pina Jr., is a wild animal on that football field. He could play with 10U right now if he wanted, easily. He's a very good player. A lot of their guys on that team, Mello, who was playing quarterback there for a while, he played halfback last game, and I think he had 3 touchdowns, over probably easily 100 yards rushing. Making tackles on defense. He can intercept the ball at safety. And he's got this onside kick down, man. If you haven't seen it, you guys got to see it. He got like 4 back in a row against the Soldiers. It was wild. Every single time. And I think that I'm going to jinx it. And I'm like, oh, onside kick. Watch this kid kick. Oh, I hope I don't jinx it. And he just crushes it. He somehow gets the ball to go end over end and bounce right in front of the guy that's trying to get it. And it either goes over his head or it hits him in the face mask and we get it back. We have like a 50% success rate this year, something like that, getting onside kicks back. So he is a fun player to watch as well. As I pull up the rest of the roster here. Also, Cruz Tellez. Sat out last week against the Soldiers, but when we played down in Sierra Vista against the Colts, Cruz had, I think, 2 or 3 touchdowns that game and was running all over the field. So he was playing quarterback this last game against the Redskins, as everyone else played the Bobcats. 12U played the Marana Thunder. but 9U played the Redskins. Excuse me. They were the only ones that played the Redskins, but Cruz Tellez was getting it done at quarterback this last week too. So they've got, and then if you watch their offensive line too, if you go back through and watch their tapes, there's a couple plays where the Honey Badger's running it, and it doesn't matter if my grandma's running it because of the way that the line is blocking. Like literally the offensive line is pushing those guys back 3 or 4 yards. And if you don't know football, or if you do know football, it really starts at the line of scrimmage. The big guys up front are such a crucial part. If you don't have time to throw the ball or holes to run through as backs, it's going to be a long day, and they've done a fantastic job all year. And they're another team like 8U that have gotten better every single week. They practice hard, they're disciplined, they're doing hard counts, and they can just run all over the field. They have playmakers everywhere. Another fun team to watch is that 9U team. 10U is, unfortunately, they're out of the playoffs. If you've watched their games, they also have been progressing week after week. They looked probably the best they've looked all year this last week. They had a little halfback pass on a 4th and 10, no big deal. 13-yard gain for a first down, which is sweet. But they've got some playmakers there too. They just struggle with depth. They've got, I think, 16 or 17 players on the team. And that means everybody's pretty much playing both ways. So that could be tough. But they're out. 12U is also out, but 12U has been fun, for me to watch because they struggled early on. Some games they lost big, but then all of a sudden they were switching up the offense. That's one thing I can say about Coach Miggs is probably my favorite thing is they don't try the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. I think that's pretty much the definition of insanity, is you try the same thing over and over and expect something different to happen. He makes adjustments. 8U does a great job with that too. If something's not working, they'll make adjustments. Like Coach Miggs came out in the first couple weeks, tried a certain kind of offense, didn't work, went to the inverted wishbone, and it was unstoppable against the Colts. First half, they were running all kinds of plays out of that inverted wishbone. And as the defense started to make changes and adjustments, then they would snap the ball to Miggs, the number 52, one of their fullbacks. They would snap it to him, and then he would do a little halfback pass and complete the ball. And then the combination of Diaz and who's their quarterback and Elijah Salgado, they had 4 or 5 different completions against the Colts. They had a good little connection going there too. And if you haven't watched Elijah Salgado play, he reminds me of why can't I think of his freaking name, man? Of Caballero for the 14U. They're just guys that can throw the ball if you put them in at quarterback, but on defense, they're dogs. Like, they're aggressive. They're almost like you're looking around after they make tackles like, man, I wonder if everything's all right in his personal life. I mean, there was a little extra behind that tackle. So that, watching Elijah Salgado play on defense and on offense is a pleasure to watch. So, again, this Saturday, you guys should just tune in and watch all these teams play. Every team has playmakers, and it is fun to watch. And I'm not just gassing them up because I'm part of the Raiders. This is a good organization, and they are fun to watch. But 12U is out. So 13 and 14U. Now, I don't know who's on what, because right now they all play together. But when playoffs start, 13U play their own playoffs, and then the 14-year-old kids play their own set of playoffs. Both teams are in. But like I said, all year they've been playing together in not separate games. And so they will split up those teams, and they will go and play in the playoffs here in a couple weeks. But I don't know which kids are 14, which kids are 13. There's probably some 12-year-olds on the team. I don't have all that information. But some of their big playmakers. Now, let me tell you this. If you didn't watch last week's game, and I've been saying this whole video, but I'm freaking serious, man. If you didn't watch 14U play this last week, tons of play. Even 2 weeks ago, they kind of made a little bit of a switch where they had Lenesis Jr., who'd been starting at quarterback all year long, who can throw the ball. Caballero can throw the ball as well. So they kind of switched it around and put Caballero at quarterback, Lenesis Jr. at receiver. 2 weeks ago, Lenesis Jr., I'm pretty sure that was Randy Moss out there head tapping. He had 3 different head taps that I can remember. I think 2 of them in the end zone where Caballero would throw the ball well defended. I mean, great job by the Soldiers or the Colts or whoever it was that we were playing that week. well defended, and Lenessus just went up and got it. I'm talking true head taps where I'm like, it's going to be batted down. And literally he's like catching over guys like 2 or 3 different times. Extremely fun offense to watch. And then this last week, and I call him the chemist, okay? And you're probably like, why is this guy calling him the chemist? Because I don't know how to say his last name. This is how it's spelled. Keomoungdy. Keomangandi. I'm not saying that, dude, on the live stream. What? So I call him Adrian the chemist. Because it sounds like a chemistry thing, and I always struggled in chemistry in high school. That sounds like some sort of, what's that called? The periodic table? Where it's got like H2O and CO2 and whatever that thing's called, that belongs on there. Plus, he's also cooking people when he's out there. Now, somebody else was wearing his jersey because he was out with a broken collarbone, and he had his first game back this last week. Now, watch this kid run. This last week against the Bobcats they were playing from Pueblo High School. The game was at Pueblo High School. Watch him run. Such a smooth runner. He easily probably, and I wasn't counting, but he easily probably had 100 yards rushing. So fun to watch him play, fun to watch Caballero play. Joseph Coronado's another big playmaker for them. Adan Avita Fuentes is also one of their big guys that do well. Khalil Tour, I can't talk about enough. When I first met that kid, I watched him in the very first game against the Seminoles, and he was hitting kids that I was worried about their safety after he would tackle the quarterback. Blindside hits. I mean, big like Ray Lewis type, little extra oomph at the end type hits by Khalil Tour. And so I asked him a couple weeks later, I said, hey man, what high school are you going to go to? Like, I want to keep up with him to see how well he does. And he's like, oh, I'm only in 7th grade. I was like, what? You're 1 year older than my son who's in playing for 11U? Like, my son's in 6th. That kid's in 7th? That's crazy. So that's a fun kid to watch. Along with Axel Herrera is another big-time hitter, driven, motivated, wild animal, type of player. When he hits hard, and he's pumped up every time he gets a big hit or every time he gets a guy in the backfield. The guy just loves to play football, loves to be out there on the field, so he's another fun one to watch. And then Adrian Gonzalez. Cool story about Adrian. He popped his shoulder out of place a couple weeks ago. So what does Hector do? Hector is the 11U team. I'm going to do them last because that's the team my son plays on. But Hector's the head coach. That's of the 11U. That's Adrian's dad. Takes him to urgent care, pops it back into place, comes back, and they finish watching all the rest of the games that day, and then he's back in there the next week. Like vintage Kobe, dude. Remember when Kobe dislocated his finger and he just went to his trainer and he popped it back into place? Kobe went out and had a game. So that was sweet. Adrian Gonzalez, another big playmaker for them. Also, Albert Valencia, kind of a guy that makes tackles in big places. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he goes with a lot of fierce and a lot of speed, and he tackles low. He's another fun one. I'm telling you, this team across the board is very fun to watch. I don't want to forget anybody. Let me see who else. Giovanni Ornelius is another big one who plays well. Carmelo Taylor, number 0. I'm sure there's guys I'm missing. Isaiah Cruz had a huge game last week. He had a couple back-to-back tackles for loss when it was crucial. We won by 1 touchdown last game. Now, last game, if you tune in and watch, there was one play where Caballero was in at quarterback, reverse to Lenessus Jr., and you think it's a reverse running play because Lenessus was lined up as wide out, but it was a wide receiver, halfback, whatever you want to call it, pass. So Lenessus Jr. got the ball, chucked it deep, was kind of hit as he threw it, which affected the throw, so it came up a little bit short. And again, I watched this back, and I don't know who the ball was intended for. He played a big part in that, and then who ended up catching it. So who it was intended for, the receiver for the 14U Raiders, had to turn into a little bit of a defender, and instead of letting the guy pick it off, he just jumped up and just batted it, so that way they couldn't get the interception, which is a genius play and shows the intelligence of some of these players. Of even when you're on offense, sometimes you have to play defense. If he doesn't do that, it's picked off. And so he goes and bats it into the air. One of our other guys comes and catches it, like Franco Harris with the Steelers back in like the 70s or whatever that was, bats it. Another guy catches it, takes it for a touchdown. Huge play. It was so loud on our side of the field, up in the stands, up in the press box. It was so loud. It was amazing. Probably the play of the year. If I had to pick one play of the year without actually thinking about it, I don't think anything beats that. That was sweet. So just go back and watch that. That was awesome. Plus, there was a little bit of a fight in there. Yeah. Bobcats returned it for a touchdown. And in case you were wondering, because our 14, listen, I'm an honest guy, okay? I'm not going to just gas up the Raiders and then never say anything that they need to work on. Our 14U team can get a little chippy. You know, they're motivated, they're driven, they're 14, 13-year-old boys out there trying to win. And I love that fight that they have, that dog that they have in them. But sometimes we can get some personal fouls. You know, a couple different times throughout the season, there's been some late hits and stuff like that have happened. And so when this fight broke out, I was like, dang, I wonder who started that. Well, when I watched it back, the Bobcats actually started it. So the Bobcats ran it back for a touchdown. And as you can see on my film, I didn't even know there was a fight going on. There was actually a flag down at the 48-yard line, which means that kickoff for return for a touchdown wouldn't have counted. But I said, oh, man, there's a flag on the field, like, you know, blah, blah. And I go back. And as I'm panning back over, you can see one of our Raider players just running after the guy already scored, plays over, boom, just gets laid out. Super, super late hit by the Bobcats. I don't even see it, like, with my own eyes. Camera caught it, but I don't see it with my own eyes. I go back to the flag. Oh, there's a flag down. And all of a sudden, you see everybody running down to the other side of the field, and there's an all-out little scuffle going on. So, you know, obviously my opinion on that, you never want to see that. You love the fight. I tell my son, who's 11, I make him watch Ray Lewis and Ed Reed videos. I'm like, when you're out there, I said, it's the one chance you get to be out there and hit people and not get in trouble for it. So go crazy, bro. You should be trying to pop guys. You should be, you know, even if the guy's, you know, wrapped up around his legs, go up and freaking crush him, dude. Like, I'm all about that. But you don't want to see any sort of those fights. And I know Coach Eddie, who does a great job of, you know, we've been in a couple of these this year where he's really the mayor of the field as he goes out there and he's separating guys. A lot of times the coaches on the other teams are like chirping at our coaches and like talking crap, which I just think is crazy. Eddie's always done a good job of like separating. And so I know Eddie sides with me on this. But regardless, very entertaining game. Now, the last game we'll talk about is the 11U. Now, 11U, huge week for them. As we play the Broncos this Saturday. If we win, we are in. If we lose, we are out. Now, the reason that it shook up like that is because the Cowboys play the Seminoles. Seminoles haven't won a game all year long. I think we beat them 36-0. So Cowboys more than likely are going to win that game. If the Cowboys win and we lose, they'll get that last seed, and then we'll be the 9th seed. They only take the top 8 teams. Now, if we both win, we're both in. I think Cowboys would take 7, and I think we would take the 8th seed. Now, if we lose and if we win and the Cowboys lose, which isn't going to happen, then it would shake it up even more. But we have to win this Saturday against the Broncos. If you haven't watched the 11U team play, it's been a roller coaster of a season. Came out with one big win, in my opinion. The Dolphins are a good team, and we beat them. First game of the year, we beat them. Second game, we played the Seminoles, smashed them. And then we went on a little bit of a 4-game losing streak. Played some good teams. Played the 49ers, Rams, and Soldiers 3 out of those 4 weeks. We did play the Colts down in Sierra Vista. Everybody knows we should have won that game. We're a better team than what we showed. But I am a firm believer that we can compete against any of these teams, against the Rams, against the 49ers. We have a very good team. Princeton, Reed is our starting quarterback, is just one of those rare talents that can run the ball and throw the ball with accuracy. He's got a good arm. Brian Ortiz plays receiver, number 30. Another playmaker. Him and Daniel Gomez, if they get out into the secondary, if they somehow make it through, if we get holes on the line to run through and they get handed off the ball, or if Brian Ortiz catches a ball and they get into the secondary, forget it. They're like Reggie Bush out there dodging, and their awareness and their agility and playmaking ability out in the open field is second to none. Very fun guys to watch. And then our defense has, again, had a little bit of a roller coaster of a season, but when we're good, we're really good. When our guys up front are doing what they're supposed to do, our linebackers, Henry Makepeace, my son Elijah Hoban, some of these, Dino, the Italian stallion, Dino Bobadilla, he is another big dude up front. Liam Edwards, wrestling freak when he's not playing football, and great defensive end, defensive tackle for us. Cueto, number 29, does a great job on defense. I don't want to miss anybody because this team is probably the team I know most about because my son plays on them. But Again, I love calling these games. Like everybody always thanks me for, oh, thanks so much for doing all this. I'm like, bro, I love it. Like I'm never like, oh, we got a game tomorrow, I got to commentate. I freaking love it. Who are some other guys? We'll do defense first, and then we'll go back to the offense because there's some receivers that I want to talk about for our team. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel Gonzalez, number 21, big dude up front. He does a good job on offense and defensive line. Let's see here. Yeah, Fernando Rodriguez, when he pops people, he can get them, even though he's a smaller guy. Yeah, Fabian Cueto, again, had to play quarterback one game that Princeton was hurt and didn't have a lot of reps under his belt, but did everything he could to move the ball, and he did well. Serenity Romero, if you didn't see her, she's the only girl on the team, blocked a field goal down in Sierra Vista, I think, or was it against the Soldiers? I think it was against the Soldiers. Also had a couple tackles for loss. That girl had a great game. I did an interview with her that you can see on YouTube. Let's see here. Brian Ortiz. Yes, and then we just talk about the big guys up front, like Mendez. You know, that if they do their job up front, it allows our linebackers to make hits and get those tackles, whether we're blitzing or we're getting them on only a 2 or 3 yard run. And then Mateo Rodriguez is one of those guys that can play both ways too. Good receiver. He's a smaller guy, sometimes plays outside linebacker, sometimes plays in the secondary. But again, we have more guys that are smaller that pack a massive punch. If you watch Mateo Rodriguez make these hits on defense, I don't understand how some of these hits that he makes us, like when I watch him in practice, I'm like, this dude will go up against the biggest guys and he'll hit him right at the thigh, like fly in there and hit him hard. Daniel Gomez does the same thing. And so this team, when they're all on the same page and when they're all playing together and when they go in this back against the wall, fight till you die mentality, this is an unbeatable team, this 11U team. Now on offense, when we throw the ball, obviously Brian Ortiz is a big target. Zaya Nunez is a big target for us as wide receiver. And then there's one other guy. And then Cash too does a great job on the offensive and defensive line. Christian Gomez is another guy that's got great hands that can catch the ball. And then Cillian Sanchez. Cillian Sanchez probably had, Princeton Reed, when he hits guys on defense, has some Ray Lewis type hits. Big hits. That kid can crush some people. But Cillian Sanchez might have had the hit of the year. I think it was against the 49ers. Princeton was running on like a 40-yard run down the right sideline. And this poor little 49ers, he wasn't little, but he was running down trying to catch Princeton, and Cillian just clocked him. They threw a flag on it because I guess in this league you can't hit guys when they're not looking. What? Get your head on a swivel, bro. When you get to high school, it's not like, oh, well, he hit me when I wasn't looking. 15-yard penalty. That's wild. I don't care if the refs are watching this. I think that's a whack call. But Cillian had a very clean, great hit, which was fun to watch. So that's it. So 11U, we got to win this week to make the playoffs. 8U has to win. 9U will win, but they'll be the 5th seed playing the 4th seed Rams, which the Rams are good. So that'll be a fun game to watch. And then 13 and 14U, as we get more info on who's going to be on what team and who they're going to be playing, we will come out with a video with that. Probably right after this Broncos series that we play, we'll have another one of these videos just to kind of update everybody, like, are we in the playoffs or not? And if we are, who are we going to be playing? We'll have all that footage here for you. Thanks for tuning in. And again, if you guys are watching on the live stream as we do these games, YouTube, we never had a problem with Facebook, but YouTube has this issue where I'm filming and it looks perfect on my screen. Like the way you can see all 22 players, 11 on 11. You can see the field. Oh, I'm calling the game. And then my dad will take like a screenshot. Or Coach Reed for the 10U took a screenshot or texted me one time and was like, yo, it's all zoomed in. And it's like zoomed in all the way to like little blades of grass that you can see. But on my screen, it looks perfect. I don't know what the hiccup is. All I got to do is log out and log back in. So if you see that on the live stream, don't be afraid to shoot me a message or even put in the comments, because I see all the comments when you guys comment. Of say, hey man, the footage is off, or like it's all zoomed in. I'll just log out, log back in. The worst, and the reason I press this so much is because I'll do an entire half of football, like the 3rd week of the year, the 12U, Coach Miggs' team, the 12U. and I'll go and I'll watch it just to make sure it looked good or whatever. And the whole second half, it's like zoomed in and you're looking at the decals on players' helmets and crap. And I'm like, bro, and you can't see anything. You can't see the plays because it's so zoomed in. So let me know. Don't be shy. Let me know. And I'm always looking for feedback. So I've had a lot of parents come to me and say, oh, you know, this guy's name is actually this and not this. There's been a couple rosters that have their name wrong. And then they come up and tell me the correct name. So I have no problem with that. So I always correct it. I want to make sure these kids, when they hear their name called out, is said the right way. I know anytime that, you know, some of these kids, when they're watching these games and they hear their name called, that makes them feel so good. That's exactly why I do all this, is to make the kids feel good, get them excited for the games. They want to make big plays because maybe they're going to be called out on the live stream. So I want to make sure that we get these names right. So don't be shy. That's it for now. Everyone, thank you so much. We'll see you guys this Saturday for a huge week of games for this organization. So thanks for tuning in.